Now with our GMA cover story, for the first time ever, a child with a mechanical heart valve has received a living donor valve. Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Tara Narula, a cardiologist, is back with that story for us. Good morning again, Dr. Narula.
Good morning, Robin. That's correct. Preston is a young boy who has been living with a mechanical heart valve since just under 2 years old. Now 11 years old, Preston just received a first-of-its-kind donor heart valve. It was the first time this type of surgery has been done to replace a mechanical valve with a human donor valve. Preston says it is a new chance for a normal life and a breakthrough that holds promise for other children as well. At just 20 months old, doctors discovered Preston Porter had a heart defect when he was hospitalized with a virus. He underwent emergent surgery to replace his mitral valve with a mechanical one.
As you can imagine, it was pretty terrifying.
Preston, now 11, has been on blood-thinning medications for 10 years. The medicines prevent blood clots on the valve, but also increase the risk of bleeding. This meant weekly blood tests, limited sports, and food restrictions.
He's a very active kid. Over the years, he's missed out on a lot.
The other big problem, he would need multiple future operations to change the valve size as he grew. In January, his family learned he was outgrowing the valve. But instead of replacing it with another mechanical or bioprosthetic valve, doctors suggested a partial heart transplant. Doctors would take a valve from a human donor heart to replace Preston's old valve. Only 20 to 30 partial heart transplants have been done in the U.S.
My initial reaction was, no, this is too new. There's no data.
It just seemed different.
Having a donor valve meant Preston could ditch the medications that prevented him from being active.
When we first told him that this was an option, he said, so this means I could be a normal kid.
With Preston giving the final go-ahead, doctors at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. performed his life-altering surgery on April 27th.
It's living, so it can grow with him. He's barely a bit more than 60 pounds. So it can grow double his weight, and that should grow with him. It's a natural tissue. It can heal itself.
While Preston will be on a low dose of anti-rejection medications, he can now be an active kid. With hopes for a longer life and fewer complications, how does Preston feel about it all?
It feels great knowing that I can have a normal life. It also feels really cool knowing I can also help people in the future.
For Preston, this surgery is already life-changing, and while he is looking forward to playing flag football, he also knows as a medical pioneer, his experience could open the door for other children facing similar challenges.
It could.
Yeah, and how big of a breakthrough is this, and how will it change how we treat kids with heart valve defects?
It's a pretty big deal when it comes to cardiac surgery for kids. You know, for a lot of kids who are born with congenital heart disease or develop some infection of the valve, the standard of care has been what you heard, which is either a mechanical valve that requires blood thinners or a bioprosthetic valve, which came from a cadaver or from pig or cow. And the problem is those valves degenerate over time, so you need replacements. They require those medications. They can develop infections. So this really being a living valve will grow with him and really, you know, obviate the need for him to have future surgeries. The other really interesting thing is that this has opened the door to increasing the donor pool. So they've actually been able to do something called domino transplant surgery. So essentially what happens is, let's say I'm a child who needs a heart transplant, and there are about 500 pediatric heart transplants per year. But that child who needs the heart transplant has healthy valves. So that child will get a new heart, but then donate his or her valves to another child who needed a valve, and maybe even a third child. So now one donor heart has essentially saved 2 or 3 children's lives. So it's really incredible what they've been able to do. You know, obviously with these valves, you're going to need some immunosuppressant medications, so that does increase the risk of infection or cancers down the road, but really a big deal here.
And his prognosis is good through adulthood.
Yes, hopefully so. God willing, yes.
Incredible. That's incredible.
All right, that's really incredible. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate it.